The biggest thing for me has just been how working with Shaolin has changed my relationship with food.
Ooh.
Like,
Well, welcome in, Claire. Super excited to have you on this interview. And yeah, just kind of break down your journey and how it's gone, your thought processes, the systems you've implemented, the results that you've seen. So yeah, before we dive into the meat and potatoes of that, can you give us a quick introduction on yourself, who you are, where you live, what your kind of work life is like?
yeah, I'm Claire. I work as a physical security assessor. I travel about 30% of the year to sites all over the country just to make sure that they are protecting their assets appropriately. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, which is the western part of the state. We moved back from DC to be close to my family.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
When did
and
you
in
move back?
2018, right before pandemic,
Okay.
in an area where it's like if you haven't been here for three generations, having newly moved here and then having all these folks who already have their circles and then having a pandemic, it's made it hard to kind of find folks to connect with. So
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
online has been the lifeline, unfortunately, for quite a while.
That's true. I did. Yeah, I have seen you jump straight into our community right from day one. Yeah, what has that experience been like?
Um, it's very welcoming. Like no complaints at all about the community. It's always active, so it's really nice just kind of I'm pretty much a lurker by nature, which is kind of ironic that my lifeline has been online, but I'm happy just to read other people's experiences. Um
Yeah.
and Charlott's been really good about kind of the gentle nudges. Hey, this is pretty cool. You should share that. And since I'm more nutrition focused and a fairly creative thinker, like I've had some things to contribute, and everybody's been just really wonderful and welcoming.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, for anyone watching, Claire has some really great recipes. So thank you for
Of
sharing
a
those. Those are,
mean protein PB&J.
yep. That's awesome. I love that. Since you started working with us, what are the results that you've gotten? How would you kind of quantify that?
Um, the biggest thing for me has just been how working with Shaolin has changed my relationship with food.
Ooh,
Like my fallback is still if I'm stressing out, I'm gonna go like smash a bag of gummies, but um it's less of an inclination now. The bag of gummies will be smaller and tracking it, I've gotten really adept at kind of balancing out my macros. Sugar is a carb. You're
yes,
gonna have to balance that out with a little more protein so you don't crash at the end of the day.
100%.
So that has been my biggest takeaway. It's I am less likely now to reward myself with food when I'm stressing out or having just a just a really stressful day. It'll still happen if like I try and like crush crush those impulses with like a protein or something else more filling.
Mm.
But at the end of all of that, if I need sugar, it's not going to be as much as I would crush before.
Wow. And how has that impacted the way you feel and like your energy levels?
I can definitely tell if I go off the rails a lot sooner and kind of like put it back on. So it's more the awareness is there. I'm a lot more, I wouldn't say sensitive, just I would definitely kind of lean back on a lot more aware of how I'm gonna feel, how I feel when it's changing, and how quickly I start to feel better when kind of plug something into the system that's probably a better choice food wise.
Mm. Yeah, as you're saying that, it makes me think of an experience I had where once I started to dial in my nutrition, and whenever I went off, I was like, wait, I used to live like this every day and feel like this every day, and that was just my baseline. So I didn't even know that I
Yeah,
could feel better than
yeah,
that.
for
So
sure.
crazy. Yeah. What do you think was I remember when we first talked, you were kind of in this like limbo of like, well, like I work out consistently and like my nutrition's like and like whatever. Like what do you feel like switched for you where you were like, no, I'm putting my foot down, like I'm gonna take this to that next level.
So I don't know where I fall age-wise in your clients, but I am a woman of a certain age, so there's been a lot of upheaval for me.
Hmm.
And so there's a lot of social pressure that women should, or, not even like actively, it's kind of like the looks that you get, right? And so there's expectations, and I was kind of like, these expectations don't really work for me. And I find that I get my validation from other sources. So
Hmm.
what really flipped the switch for me, and I promise I'll bring it back around, is Jen Thompson is 52 years old, and she holds some amazing weightlifting records, one of which is a 300-pound plus bench press.
Wow.
And I was like, I may not get to that, but that's someone who is of my age who is doing it, and it can be done. And so I'm going to do that.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, Jen Thompson is insane. I've seen some of her videos. It's like yeah. That's awesome that you found. So basically, you found like an inspiration and a goal to work towards that felt in line with your values. And
Yep,
then because of that, I was like, okay, well, now nutrition is going to be that fuel to the fire for these strength goals I have.
for sure. For sure. And I've been smashing it. Sheldon's like, you're strong. And I was like, he's like, no, you were strong.
What would you say um, to a woman who's maybe been fed a lot of the propaganda of like be small, don't strength train, you're going to become all these things, all the things that we hear and we see.
Yeah.
Like, what would your feedback be to somebody who's maybe like struggling with those things?
Um, I would say you're not, you're going to be bigger. You're not going to be bulky. Like, that's not something to be afraid of. Trust me, if we could be bulky and it were that easy, we would be bulky. But like, what you see in the fitness realm is hours and hours and hours and a lot more dedication than I'm willing to put in. So it's like the fitness competitors, right?
Yeah,
That's, and even the lady bodybuilders, that is some sacrifice, and that is not a level most women can or really want to attain. So it's like, if you're worried about being bulky, don't
yeah,
worry about being bulky.
yeah.
Bigger definition, absolutely. Like, I just love watching myself in the mirror because it's like there's this one move my trainer gave me, and it's like a bent over row and then a fly, and it absolutely shreds. But it's like I'm sitting here and I'm looking at my shoulders, and they're amazing, and it's so exciting.
That's so awesome. Wow, I love that. What is your husband or your colleagues, your friends, what do they all think of this and of your progress in the past 6 months?
Mr. Carr is always along for the ride. He benefits, but he's very supportive. He thinks it's cool. So my colleagues, honestly, a couple of them have kind of found inspiration in me getting back into the gym and just like, pushing it to the limit.
Mhm.
So, we're the group that kind of finds really tasty food, but something that'll kind of, it won't be completely soaked in oil. Not that I don't love food soaked in oil because I am Southern. Um, Something that we can kind of strike that balance. So they were a couple of, they're with me 30% of the year. So they're like, we can tell a difference. You're doing really good. And so they kind of accommodate, but they benefit as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's so fascinating how fitness like journeys work too, because you put in all this work for months and months and months, and then like 6 months later, people are like, "Oh wow, you look so good. What are you doing?" And it's
Yeah.
like, you didn't know what I've been doing for 6 months, like to get here.
Yeah, Shalin is really great with like my photos. He's like, you should submit photos. And I was like, fine, but I can't tell a difference. Like being on the like inside, he's like, I can tell you're cutting and look at this is just a little bit of bloating and you look great. And I'm like, okay. I'm like,
Yeah, it's funny how those changes are so incremental too, week to week. But then when you look at months apart, then it's like, whoa, yeah,
I yeah, it's again, I agree, but at the same time, like there was one right at the beginning where I'm like, that looks great. And then I haven't seen it again, but Shalin's like, you look amazing. And I'm like, I mean, I feel amazing. I'm eating amazing. I'm lifting amazing. And for me, that's enough.
yeah, that's great. Did you have any maybe limiting beliefs or beliefs about like having your nutrition be to the level that it's at now when you first started?
I'd like to say yes because that furthers like the conversation, but I came in with a very much an open mind. I think
Mm,
most of my limiting beliefs, like we just kind of talked about, have been more of a physical, presentation type.
mm,
Um, I my nutrition hasn't been necessarily disordered, but it hasn't really been ordered either. So I was like blank slate. I don't know exactly how this is going to work. I have a good idea of macros uh, and it's I think that's really helped me just kind of embrace everything that has been uh kind of not thrown at me, but like Shalin's like we're gonna eat 225 grams of carbohydrates this phase, and I'm like, bet, let's do it. I can't do it. I can do it,
mm.
but it takes donuts.
A
Okay,
lot of
so
food. Yep. Yeah, 100%. Um, what do you think have been like your biggest learnings surrounding your nutrition?
uh, the biggest thing has definitely been how my relationship with food has changed. That you can have these things and it's still can't when I say these things, I mean like you can have some fries. I find I don't want fries as much. Like I'll start
Yeah.
with like the grilled chicken sandwich, and by the time I get to the fries, I'll have one or two, and then
Yeah.
the rest I don't want them.
Yeah.
So it's in the kind of having the freedom to tune and play and adjust and experiment in this environment has been super useful
Mhm.
because it's kind of that I think folks come into it and they're like it'll be structured and it is to a point, but for the most part, at least for the nutritional side, anything I wanted to do, Charlene's like, let's try it, see what works. And that has been that's been the game changer for me. It's just been kind of the ebb and flow and okay, this didn't work, but it's not terrible. It's not the worst thing. Let's just see what else we can do. So like anytime I had any kind of setback or failure, for lack of better terms, Charlene would be like, okay, so what could you do different? What do you want to do different? And he would open the door and I would walk through and we would just kind of um, whiteboard it.
Yeah.
And that has really worked for me.
Hmm. I love that you mentioned too, you kind of came in like a blank slate. And one thing Shalad has told me, which I'll share with you, is that it's been very fun and easy to coach you because you're very receptive and you're very like willing and eager to learn and to be coached and to try new things and experiment.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How did you kind of cultivate that mindset to come in with that mindset?
I would like to say it's on purpose, but I don't. It was just nothing else has worked, so let's try this.
Hmm.
And you can't come into a program where folks are trying to help you and shoot down all the ideas.
Yeah. What do you feel like was different about this from the other things that you've tried in the past?
Um, it just has a better vibe for me. It's flexible. It's, kind of having stuff thrown, instead of having someone tell you what to do, tell you what the next step is. And there's structure like that. There's goals, right? Y'all have set out a really cool program where it's like these are kind of the basic goals. And so you get into the habit of meeting small goals, and then you make the goals a little bigger, and then you get to a certain point, and then you kind of give responsibility to us to, broaden our own horizons, make our not necessarily make our own program, but like I said with Shalin, and we were whiteboarding things, he's like, what could you do differently? What could you do additionally? If this didn't work completely, how could you make it work a little bit better? But everything's incremental, so it doesn't feel overwhelming.
Mm. I love that feedback and thanks for sharing that. I'll tell Shalom that too because one of my favorite analogies is that you can't climb a mountain and just stare at the summit the whole time. Like you have to focus on one step in front of the next, in front of the next. And then
Mhm.
before you know it, you look back and you're halfway up the mountain. You're like, whoa, that was pretty cool. So
Exactly.
I love that you brought that up because yeah, having those small incremental changes is so important to not have overwhelm and to actually stack up and be consistent over time.
That's been awesome for
Yeah.
me.
Wow, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. I love hearing
Yeah,
your experience. It's just like it's just making me beam ear to ear to see your progression and watch it from like the physical sense, but more so just like the internal sense and even just like how you're showing up to this call right now and carrying yourself and the bubbly energy that you have. I remember,
thank
I don't
you.
know if you remember this, our first call, like I mean it was also in the evening at the end of a long day and you were just like tired and like do you remember
I
that?
expire at 9:30. Like that is my hard limit. Like turn
Yep.
into a pumpkin, not any good. But it was probably like lots of things have changed since then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, the program has definitely facilitated better energy levels for me, better eating, better relationship with food. So, like, I listen to my body a lot more now, like the cues, you know,
Yeah.
is this going to make me feel like utter crap if I eat it? Yes, I'm probably not going to eat it. I'll just have a glass of water or something like that.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, having that like internal awareness too is so powerful. Being able to just like check in on your body and see where you're at. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Good stuff. Well, that was the main questions I had for you. Is there anything else that you want to add that we didn't touch on, or do you feel like we have a good um, story of sort of like your journey and your arc?
I would add that I am extremely happy to be here. Like, I didn't foresee a lot of these changes. And it's not no commentary on the program or Shalin. It was just more this internal dialogue within myself, right? It's, you
Mm.
know, have to try something new. If nothing else works, you can't keep bashing your head against that same wall, right? So, I have this has been a transformative experience. Like the way I think about food, the way I interact with food. Um, I'll be a healthier, sassier old lady when I get there, I think.
I love it. Oh wow, that's so awesome. That means so much to hear, and I can't wait to tell Shalin that you said that too. So. Yeah, it's really full circle for me too to watch your progression and like it's such a blessing to get to do what we do and then watch you really like take the bull by the horns and change your life. So,
That agency is a big part of it.
yeah. Sweet. Well, thanks for hopping on to this interview. This was a lot of fun.
It
Thanks
was.
for sharing your story, Claire. If anyone wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to connect? Like LinkedIn or Instagram or something like that?
I am taking a social media break, so rage issues, shockingly, within behind the bubbly personality. The best way is probably Instagram, Clarabelle76, or email foxfire25@gmail.com.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks again for hopping on. This was great.
Absolutely.